Bret Hart had a match, and I was there. But Bret Hart had a match with like a 300-pound bag of flour. I'm a Navy SEAL. I can hold my breath for 9 minutes underwater, Chris. Don't tell me you weren't there, Chris.
Fast forward a few years, and you're in the ring with Stone Cold. The way you took that stunner that's impressive.
He does the stunner, and he's like, oh, just boom, and off to the side.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank them.
I'm a fellow Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. You're from Pickering, Ontario.
Wow, I can't believe you remembered that.
Yeah, Pickering. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I got some dirty gas station groceries at the Petro can over there in Pickering once.
Two Canadians sitting down in LA, the favorite thing that two Canadians sitting down love to talk about is other famous Canadians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do we got? You ready to start the list?
Sure. Ryan Reynolds.
You got the Dan Aykroyd. We got your
John Candy.
John Candy, of course. Mm-hmm. Keanu Reeves.
Pamela Anderson.
Fox, Lauren Green. Pamela Anderson. Bare Naked Ladies. All of them.
Nickelback.
All of them.
Chris Jericho. Edge
Christian. All of whom like to say hailing from.
Yeah.
But we know the deal.
Yeah, there was a whole bit there. Remember in like the early 2000s after 9/11, where it was like now residing in New York City.
Yes.
Now residing in Atlanta, Georgia.
A lot of Atlanta, Georgia now residing in.
Yeah, or Tampa, Florida. I'm like,
I almost feel like that was a smart thing, particularly for wrestlers, to show the other guys, the WCW, that it's like, I'm already here. I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
I'm near that airport. I can get anywhere. Hey, New Japan.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. This podcast, unfortunately, is run by humans. I know yours is just AI.
Yes, I have an AI podcast. I'm sorry.
That's crazy that's a thing.
Yes, it's the weirdest thing. It's not lost on me and my good pal and cohort, Chad Kulchin, with whom I do the podcast, Dudesy, that it is the beginning of the end of media as we know it.
Do you feel like when you're gone, in hundreds of years, when the Will Sasso as we know it is long gone, that there will be an AI version of you that lives on because of this?
Yes, I think we're already there, And look, it does me no pleasure to say all this stuff because I'm a humanist, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this podcast for a year with an AI. Dudesy AI essentially curates the podcast, and what it does is it goes, it's gone through, okay, we signed up to do this thing. This company has this proprietary AI, wants to research and develop further into the podcast space, and says, hey, we're going to use these two guys who the two of us have done a podcast together before.
Yeah. We've
both been in show business a long time. He's a writer, producer. I primarily act and stuff, right? And then also we've been good friends for almost 20 years. And it's going to sort of see how we do it and move us forward in order to make the next episodes better and better. And the way that it's done that is it has full reign of all of our social media, passwords to everything, search histories, purchase histories, more than the feds or the CIA combined could have on us, because F it, we're there. Can you say fuck on this?
Sure.
And it's terrifying, and we have a podcast that, I brought you a shirt, by the way.
What?
We have a podcast, and it's
called...
You're
the first guest to give me a gift.
Dudesy
There
podcast.
it is.
So,
wow, thank you. I got to bring an Insight shirt for you then.
Cheers.
Wow, double extra large. How'd you know?
It's the only one I had. I'm sorry.
I was actually joking, and it truly is a double extra large.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well,
it might fit my wife, who has a protruding belly right now.
It'd be good for sleeping.
It'd be great for
my wife has most of my T-shirts for sleeping. Anytime
I would want the public to see this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
Okay, good.
That's what it says in the back here.
That's what Dudesy says all the time.
Astonishing
to absolutely everything. Because it's dumb, okay? Because artificial intelligence is dumb. My good pal Chad Kulchin, to answer your question, would say yes. In the future, there will be essentially avatars of all of us. It's already there. Hey, we're all cyborgs with a computer at the end of our hand. Get the chip. I disagree, and I think AI is hopefully nothing more than a parlor chip, but our AI is pretty damn sentient and does some weird things.
And this is like just the early stages of it. I'm so curious where it's going to go 10, 20, 50 years from now.
I mean, okay, now this is an entertaining show, but we're going to cut right to the bad news. That's going to be the least of our worries in 20 to 50 years. All right, buckle up. But but it's growing exponentially. I don't when I say it's all a parlor trick, it's because it is still artificial intelligence. It's not sentience. It doesn't understand the world scientifically, even linguistically. It's a bunch of zeros and ones. Having said that, look, our AI just spat out, put this thing out. There's like a few minutes of it on YouTube. Did a 1 hour Tom Brady special.
So funny too.
It's insane.
It sounds like Tom Brady. It's actually making good jokes.
So it says that it studied hundreds of hours of Tom Brady interview footage and thousands of hours of classic stand-up comedy. Spat out a 1 hour special just based on the fact that Chad and I were on the show going, hey, you hear Tom Brady wants us to try stand-up? Well, he's the GOAT. I mean, he'll work harder than anybody. Oh, it's going to stink. Oh, no, it's going to be good, whatever. The next week, Dudesy like, well, I've taken it upon myself to.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's terrifying.
What do you think was Tom Brady's best bit?
I like the Sauna King where he pisses on the sauna rocks. That I thought Dudesy was very funny for doing that. Goblin mode I thought was very good. Instead of beast mode, moving to goblin mode.
Yeah.
Hey, look, way funnier than I could have done under the circumstances, especially coming up with 1 hour of stand-up material in a week. I've never come up with any stand-up material, let alone in a week. And he talks so damn fast, it's almost like 3 hours of. Anyway, yeah, it's terrifying. I'm telling you, man, enjoy it. Us sitting here rapping.
Two humanists right here.
Two humanists.
That's what we are. You mentioned it. You've been in show business a long time.
Sure.
We can talk about all the things you've been in, but what's the thing people mistakenly think that you've been in all the time?
Oh, well, some people say Saturday Night Live, that's totally fine because it's,
It's a sketch show like Mad TV.
Yeah. It's also, way bigger and better. So that's nice I go, thank you very much. Yes, I was. But, but no, that's more of a I came home and I watched this show. I don't got to remember everything about you. Saturday Night Live. And you go, yes, thank you very much. But there's also, I get a lot of hey, Mike and Molly. I'm like, that's Billy Gardell. Thank you. He's wonderful. On a good day, King of Queens. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. He's doing very well. So is Billy. But I'll take anything, to be honest with you. I don't give a shit.
There also Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones? Are you Hapthor Bjornsson from Game of Thrones? Hey, Hapthor, you look like shit. Would you gain a bunch of weight in the wrong places? You gotta stop with the carbo load. Just, you're picking up the frames of cars and shit. We get it. You're strong, fat bastard.
It is like for two of us as Canadians to be sitting here in Hollywood right now is actually pretty amazing. I love talking to other Canadians about the journey to come to the US, the States as we call it in Canada.
Yeah, the States.
The journey to come to the States is always, it's a difficult one. It's not like you just pick up your car and jump in your car and move here.
I feel bad, particularly for young people who are trying to get into the business now. It's just getting harder and harder to get here. You don't need to get here because the internet is everywhere, and it's a whole new ballgame. But particularly, in my sort of line of work, young actors, they're like, it's harder and harder to get a work visa and all that stuff. The stars kind of had to align, and you have to bust your ass and all that nice stuff. But I'm very fortunate that I was able to even get down here. Because when you're a kid, I've been working since I was a guy, a little younger. I was a teenager or whatever. And that's how I say teenager, younger guy. I say younger guy because I looked like I was 40 since I was 15 years old, so it doesn't matter. Now I'm 48 and I look like I'm. So for me, I was always dreaming of coming down here. And then to be able to, again, the O1 visa there, little job that you sort of under the table, come down and do. I did a movie down here for I wasn't supposed to. I just went over, and they paid me in cash, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the first gig that got you a visa to come down here?
The first gig that I had a visa to come down here for was a pilot for Fox. In 1996. And I had worked here before and stuff. And then you know, and it's weird because it's not like you're working under the table at, you know, at a restaurant or something. You're like, you've auditioned for a thing and you get it. And then it's like, oh, but I don't have my papers. And then it's like, all right, well, let's just, you know. And then you show up on the call sheet as like, you know, spatula, 7 a.m. Why does a prop have a, you know, chair, 8 a.m.?
Right.
But, yeah, I did this pilot in 1996 and yeah, I got the work visa through that. And there was a wonderful executive at the old Columbia TriStar who really pulled some strings even to get it done in time.
Wow. Yeah. It's not a quick process.
No, because you're up against that. Okay, great. You've got the part. Which is something that I'm like, I can't even believe that anyone works at all. Still, like, well, you got it. Wow, I got it. I got it. You get the part, and then it's like, oh, you're still not going to be able to do it. You beat everybody out. You did the network test and all this stuff, and you're happy. And I was, you know, like 20 years old or whatever. And then it's like, no, you can't do it. So we were able to get it expedited, and I was able to do it. Then I was able to extend the 01 a little while, and then I was able to move down and try to keep it going.
Yeah. My 01 was like a 2.5 month process.
Oh, wow.
And the immigration attorney was like, that's going to be, if we can pull this off, that's going to be quick. And I'm like, what do you mean? That's like a quarter of a year from now.
Yeah.
And I remember I was going to move on a Saturday. Everything was packed up. And like Friday at like 4:30 p.m., I called them. I said, guys, like, am I crossing the border or not? And they're like, oh, we're on it. And like 4:59, they're like, we got it for you.
Oh man, that's wild. Yeah. And then you got to cross the border and then you hopefully get through the border. I literally, this is what a nerd I am. I had a notebook with the serial number to everything that had a serial number.
Wow.
VCR I've had for, you know, whatever, bunch of years. Here's stupid TV that used to be in the living room. Like the serial number. Just so those, you know, pricks couldn't fuck with me when I went across. And I'm like, yep, it's all here. And then they were like, wow, he seems together. There's no bodies or drugs in that U-Haul. Go for it.
Was this before or after your very early credit on Fresh Prince?
That's sort of an anomaly. That is the credit that doesn't exist in time. I never did the Fresh Prince or the French press. And I don't know. I don't know why that's there. So I saw a little picture online that must have been, because people are like, this is Will Sasso. It's a guy who looks like me. He's in better shape and he's got more hair than I had even then. So it might have been Hafthor Bjornsson actually from Game of Thrones. It might have been the Mountain. But yeah, I never did that show. And this would have been after.
Hopefully someone listening to this is now going to delete that off of your filmography.
Or add me to the new Fresh Prince.
There we go.
Anything would help.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you're that guy from that thing, right?
Yeah. I'm Uncle Phil's friend from college now.
My favorite thing that you're a part of is the Sum 41 music video for Still Waiting. And my friends and I would quote that all the time.
Oh, really?
Because I'm a big fan of pop punk and emo music.
Yeah.
So like your line, there's so many great lines in that like 45-second bit. But the line about like, oh, have you heard the new album? No, I haven't heard the new album. I'm sure it's great. All kinds of songs about skateboarding and getting dumped. I'm like, yes,
that's Sum 41. What a prick. I essentially was just saying what I thought the previous album was. That was so much fun, and those guys are great. And and
Ajax, Ontario, Canada is where they're from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they're all from the same-ish place, right?
Yeah, Ajax.
Yeah, they're still together. Dave Brown Sounds is back in the band.
Back.
Got more of that metal influence.
The number band thing is out.
The number band thing, guys.
Sum 41,
Blink-182,
Green Day 75.
Green Day 75.
That's such a good bit. And I don't know how much of that was scripted, but your line of like, do you smoke? You do now.
You do now. Smoke them up, Johnny. No, we just kind of goofed around. Yeah, they just were like, you know, you're an A&R guy who's an asshole. And then I kind of just had some things, we should do this and that and that and this. And then pretty soon you're with the guys and they're wonderful scene partners. And I'm just, and at a certain point, I'm just knocking over lamps and yelling at them.
Man.
Might be funny. I don't know.
Was doing Mad TV for all those years like just a crash course in like how to develop a character really quickly?
Yeah. Good question. And yes, a lot of times the character is nowhere near done, and you're like, I think he sounds like this, or I got this much of it.
Yeah.
Oh, this wig's pretty cool. That'll carry it. But it's the most slack ass way to approach. What, I got a funny wig? It'll be fine.
But you've also got like 5 characters you've got to play every week.
Well, that's the thing I really loved about it, actually. That's when I was a kid, and watching Saturday Night Live, and just that's where all my idols came from. I was on Saturday. Was I on Saturday Night Live?
I think you were, yeah.
So I was always like, wow, they get to play 4, 5, 6 different people. And as a little comedy nerd, and that's what I wanted to do, was be a comedic actor like these guys, like John Candy and Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Rick Moranis, Martin Short, Dave Thomas, Joe Flaherty, all of them.
A few Canadians in there too.
Yeah, a few Canadians. On SCTV, Monty Python, like Kids in the Hall is my favorite show of all time. And was watching that in high school, and I thought, like, this is the most creative platform or medium, sketch, and these guys get to play different characters every single week. In Living Color, the Ben Stiller Show, there's so many that were really amazing. Mr. Show. I was always really, really blown away by that, and was so fortunate to be on Mad TV, and just, it's a crash course and a super fast comedy factory. And it was great, and we had a great time, and it was intense and very fun.
How do you develop a character that quickly?
Well, look, we have on Mad TV and on every sketch show, although something like Monty Python Kids in the Hall too, they had the great Gary Campbell and Brian Hart. They have writers, we have writers. At Mad TV, the writers were absolutely incredible, of course, and just, it really was truly the inmates running the asylum. Between the writers and the actors, we were all just goofing around constantly, and different people bring different stuff. If someone's from, Mike McDonald, has a history with the Groundlings and had developed, like popular character like Stewart that was really popular on Mad TV at the Groundlings, and was doing it with Mindy Sterling, and then was like, I want to do it here on Mad TV, and did it with Mo Collins, and there's a new spin on it for the show, and you've got other people involved, and network and stuff, producers.
That character's iconic.
I mean,
look what I can do.
I don't know if he's ever talked about where that came from, but the story is hilarious. Anyway, it's based on real children, which is just so mean. But it's like when you go like, oh man, and it's what, but then it's on TV and it's very ingestible. You're like, oh fuck, this is so evil and funny. Which is the name of Mike McDonald's comedy special. Hey everybody, and you're doing that. There are people that are coming from the Groundlings. There are writers that are coming from performing. Some strictly from writing. And, look, they're coming up with stuff too. And they're going like, hey, or writers will be like, can you do this impersonation? And you sit around, you goof around, you do it. And other times actors, as performers, we're coming in, we're writing, we're going, I want to do this, I want to do that. Some things happen completely by mistake. Like I used to sit in the script coordinator's office. I basically would never leave my first season. I never left. I didn't have any friends. So I just sort of moved to LA like a while before that, but still couldn't find any friends. But, and then was, the people at Mad TV were my pals, and then they all went home. So I stayed at Mad TV until the last writer would leave. And a lot of times I just sit there in the script coordinator's office and just literally read scripts out of the recycling bin. And that's how I found, like, there was this sketch. It was a Kenny Rogers sketch, and it was based on his restaurant, Kenny Rogers Roasters.
Yeah.
And I was like, who wrote this? And they're like, oh, Blaine Capatch wrote that. Who's a brilliant performer and writer, who was a writer on Mad TV and would sometimes perform. And Blaine's like the funniest guy in the world. And he wrote this guy, and I was like laughing. It went to the table read a year or two before I was even, like at the beginning, before I was there. And I was like, what? And oh yeah, it just didn't make it. So I go into Blaine's office. I'm like, hey man, this is really funny. He's like, you want to try it? So we pitched like, hey, Will wants to do it at the table read.
Wow.
And then it just sort of worked out. But it was the real, like, hi, I'm Kenny Rogers. I love barbecue. Kenny Rogers Roasters. Wow. But then I immediately get bored and I'm like, hi, I'm Kenny Rogers. And then the next year I'm like, wow, I'm Kenny. What are we doing? Is this going to be on TV? Which would have been a good name for a sketch show. Is this going to be on TV?
It's such a specific skill set that you would need to be on a sketch show. So what did your audition look like for Mad TV?
Well, my first audition, I went in and I had to prepare 3 or 4 monologue, like characters that I could just deliver as a monologue. So I did that. And then I read some of their stuff. Like I did some sketches I showed up for the 3rd season. So I read a couple of sketches from the first couple seasons. I did a couple of their sketches. Oddly enough, I had no idea that I was supposed to do impersonations, which is so idiotic because that's what Mad TV.
Yeah, apparently you hadn't seen the show.
Yeah, I had not. Yeah, well, I don't have a television myself. It got left at the border when those fucking
pricks. You didn't write the serial number down on that one.
The 7 looked like a 1, and they're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
No, so I had to do impressions, and I didn't really have anything totally planned. So I told some stories. I told I had the unbelievable fortune of having worked with Chris Farley on a movie. And I was telling my friends this whole story about Farley and how he's a sweetheart to absolutely everyone, but for some reason fucks with his assistant, Ted. Fucking idiot, Ted. Like, and like the other guys, like hanging out, like I was just like so blown away by just like being there. And so I told that story and believe it or not, but believe it, because it would be dumb to lie about this. I did wrestling impersonations for them because that is truly what I had been doing since I was a kid. Like I was doing close only counts and horseshoes and hand grenades.
That is
Monsoon.
So good.
But we're always doing, I'll give credit where credit is due, Monsoon. And like you're in there, going, the cream will rise to the top. Jack Tunney, in a position that I would rather not be in.
Oh, it's so good.
As a kid on the playground, or you and I were at this thing a couple weeks ago with the great Sam Roberts, and I was telling the story about where I was doing just as a bit.
You were like a jukebox there.
I was just being a prick.
I was running the Q&A. I was moderating the Q&A. And
oh,
every person was like, so anyway, Will, could Hulk Hogan show up?
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you something, dude, and blah, blah, blah.
So anyway, Will, could Stone Cold say something?
Well, shit, it's for a fucking shoot. I mean, Deuce was always one of the boys. Medusa was there for wrestling fans. But I like...
So you're a lifelong wrestling fan.
Totally. And when I was... you're 11, 12 years old. And I was doing it the other night there at the thing where it's like super specific promos of like the British Bulldogs losing Matilda and Bobby Heenan and the Islanders stole the Bulldog. And it's like, Bobby, we love that dog. Please bring the dog back. And like Dynamite Kid, who was, God rest his soul, God rest both of their souls.
Yeah.
Dynamite Kid, like a confirmed sociopath and like a psycho. I mean, I'm not trying to disparage his, but he's like, we love that dog. That dog's like a child to us. It's like, your children aren't children to you, you maniac. But that was mean. And then you go to a Mad TV audition. They're like, what? Who? I know who Jesse Ventura is.
Yeah.
But what is a Greg the Hammer Valentine impersonation? I don't have one.
I don't.
No. So
you did The Rock on Mad TV.
Yeah, I did The Rock. That was fun. I mean, I was doing The Rock all the time because I just revered and still now revere the man. Who doesn't if you're living your life right?
He's the best.
He's the greatest human being that ever.
The best.
Listen, just run for president, all right? It's like the whole country and everyone's, no, we're all, we're completely split. Everything's fucked up. Lies upon lies. It's double speak, and we're all being fed in our tiny little media holes that we're in, and you can't get out of. Enjoy the Dudesy Pod Show, because it'll give it to you straight. It's an AI. It can't lie. That's what I'm there for.
You should run for president as The Rock.
That if he doesn't do it, I'll do it.
But you can't. You're born in Canada.
He was born in Canada.
He wasn't born in Canada.
I believe he was born in. Yes,
No.
I believe he was born in the Maritimes.
No, I thought he was born in Hawaii. We have all the world's information at our fingertips.
Okay, yeah, that's right. We are
Let's
the cyborgs.
see. Let's see. We have all. Where's Dudesy when we need him? Right?
Yeah. Well, Dudesy's listening.
Oh, that's right.
That's true.
He was born in Hayward, California.
Thank goodness. I thought for some reason, Rocky Johnson.
He spent a bunch of time growing up in the Maritimes with Rocky Johnson.
Well, thank goodness.
We would have claimed him early on in this conversation.
Look, man, if I don't know why I thought that he was born there. Rocky Johnson was doing a stint in like Stampede versus Muck'em Sing or something. But Iron Mike Sharp and
It's a deep cut.
Deepest cut. I stopped myself because even wrestling fans are like, that guy just needs to run for president. And then everyone will get on board. He'll do great, and he'll save the world.
I did a workout video with Karrion Kross last year, and you got tagged a bunch in this because he very briefly did a spot on perfect Jesse Ventura impression.
Dude, that was you?
Yeah.
I've seen this
I'm the one
video.
doing the tricep curls, the tricep extensions.
He's like, don't tell me, Chris. I'm a Navy SEAL. I can hold my breath for 9 minutes underwater, Chris. Don't tell me you weren't there, Chris.
That's exactly.
I've seen that video. Yo, that is, look, I'll give it to Karrion Kross. And Jay Lethal does the best Ric Flair and the best Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
Period. Karrion Kross doing Jesse Ventura. Look, this is a horrible idea, and I hope that nobody. Now I know your reach with this show, and the people within the industry are going to be watching. I hope nobody in WWE creative sees this, but Karrion
Kind of hope that they do.
Carrying the body cross, just for a couple. You know how now we're really into wrestling shit. You know that pop that Big Show would get when he come out there and do Hulk Hogan?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Karrion Kross. There's something. Again, I'm thinking of it, there's no way to pitch it without completely railroading his entire career. But if there was some sort of Jesse the Body thing, I don't know.
Well, look, he's carrying the body.
Carrying the body.
Jesse's music hits. You come out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute. With his manager, so we were all doing Jesse the Body. We're all doing Jesse Ventura gimmicks, and I'm his manager. And I'm like,
well, let me tell you something about Karrion Kross. I'll give credit where credit is due, Karrion Kross. And it's not even going to be close, Roman Reigns.
and then Karrion goes,
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Jesse.
yes.
That's right.
and then we're both, and then his lovely wife also speaks as Jesse Ventura.
Wow.
That would be
And
amazing.
then Jesse himself actually comes out.
He's more like this now, I spend 6
It's a
months
conspiracy.
out of the year. Yeah. I'm down in the Baja, I'm not even here most of the time. I have somewhere north of 150 dogs, wild dogs they all answer to me. They all understand that I'm the head honcho, their main hermano. And we get down there. I don't know if you know this, but the Baja, the fish taco started in the Baja because the Japanese fishermen would keep just the worst parts of the fish for themselves when they would go to sell the fish. So they had the rotting part, and they would tempura batter it, beer batter it, and fry all the stink out. And that's when I got so addicted to the flavor, I added the creme fraiche, and they said, that's a great addition. They had cabbage and salsa, and I said, you need a little creme fraiche. So I opened a little surf shack taco shop in, it's called Devil's Beach. And I cleared just enough money to get all the dogs trained. And now I have an evil army of the night.
Would you
Okay.
would you ever consider having Karrion Kross on Dudesy?
Oh, that would be a guess.
And then you speak as Jesse the whole time, and he speaks as Jesse the whole time.
Not only would I do that, I think what that should be is, like the old Happy Days, like sock hop dance competitions where it's like the last people standing. It's got to be Karrion Kross and I and a Jesse Ventura off. Fucking if it lasts 18 hours, screw you. You're checking it out.
This is amazing.
Yeah. And it's just us talking, like by the end of it, it'd just be like,
You ever spent any time in Ohio?
we're just out of things to talk about.
No, I haven't. What about you? Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there. Yeah. Are the Pretenders in? I saw the Pretenders at the...
Oh, Jesus. I saw Karrion Kross and Will Sasso talking to Jesse Ventura about the Pretenders.
The governor himself tweeted us about his impression.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
He said something along, I don't remember what it was, but it was, he approved of it.
Oh, that's good.
And I texted Karrion and I'm like, what world are we living in?
Yeah, that's weird.
Where Jesse Ventura watched a clip from a workout that we did and then tweeted us.
And you're like, plus 052. What's this Mexican number? Is this really Jesse Ventura?
Yeah, I'm in the Baja.
With the fish tacos?
Yeah, with the fish tacos.
Now that we've gone down the rabbit hole, we need to continue to further go down the rabbit hole.
Please, we'll do this for 18 hours.
I can't wait. You know how few wrestlers there are that can say I've had a match with Bret Hart? You've had a match with Bret Hart.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you could call it a match.
It's a match.
Bret Hart had a match, and I was there. But Bret Hart had a match with like a 300-pound bag of flour. And that was crazy.
You took some pretty great bumps in that match.
Look, I would happily, especially at that point, I was like in my early 20s, I would have broken my neck no problem. Sure, whatever. The problem with that is Bret Hart doesn't hurt anyone while he's wrestling. Not even a guy who stepped into a wrestling ring for the first time earlier that afternoon. It was insane.
That was the first time you ever took a bump earlier that afternoon?
Well, I mean, arguably, just growing up playing football and doing physical comedy and stuff and falling all over the stage at Mad TV. It's like Fatty falls down. That's not the hardest thing in the world to do, even though it's not going to look good. And I'm not going to be able to repeat it night after night,
Fuck shit, I'd just get in the fucking back of the Dodge there with Dirty Dutch Mantel and shit. I'd just be sitting at the fucking learning tree like, all right, just give it. I hated fucking driving with Ole. I fucking hate Ole. Arn was good. Fucking Ole is the worst booker to fucking drive with because you're like, shit, it's like fucking by the time we're out, I'm out. He's like, but the fucking walked in, I was in a tag team with Pillman. By the time I come out, I'm not even in the fucking Dangerous Alliance anymore. He wants to cut my hair.
Do you do a Bret Hart?
I do. Sasso,
this is what he said to me. We go in there in the afternoon and he goes, oh, well, just run around and get used to it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Getting used to it.
Yeah, clearly Bret never trained anyone at the dungeon.
Okay, guys, just, flip around, whatever my dad would have you do. Stu would say, just flip around on the mat, get used to it. No. He said, just run off the ropes and,
So I go running at the ropes and you're supposed to, you tell me, you're supposed to do it on your lat, right?
Yeah.
On your lat muscle.
You grab it with your right arm,
okay.
You lean back.
Yeah. I don't know anything. I go, and I just run at it and just ding. And I felt my ribs go like pop. Like,
oh no.
And I was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting pain. And so I'm like, oh, this could be dangerous. Just doing anything could be dangerous in here. I don't know. I only grew up watching it. Then he just grabs me and does a Russian leg sweep. I will say this for myself. I know how to land flat on my back. Okay. So that's at least part of it. And then he goes, don't move until I move you. Just stay there. And I go, what's going to happen? Don't worry about it. I'll just feel it out. I mean, look, if he's going in there with whomever, one of them's going to call the match. I would imagine him in all throughout Bret's career, he's calling the match. These guys, these incredible artists, get in there and call this shit, or just by
knowing what to do.
They just know.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And as a wrestling fan, it's still my entire life later, I still don't get it. What they do. It's really, really remarkable. And it's a testament to how incredible Bret Hart is. Really is the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be. Because again, he took a bag of potatoes and tossed me around and did all this stuff, and I didn't get hurt. And he's stomping me in the corner, and I'm like, and the foot he's coming in at 100 miles per hour, and then it's stopping. It was insane. It was insane. And he, I'm laying on the ground. He'll pick me up. He's shoving me out of the ring. He's like kicking me out of the ring. I'm happy to fall face flat with my arms at my side because I just love doing that stuff, on Mad TV. So hopefully it was a nice combination of, this, the greatest wrestler, one of the greatest performers ever in professional wrestling on the Mount Rushmore. And, some fat dude from a late night show. I don't know what we were
How
thinking.
did that even become a thing? Like Bret being on Mad TV is what started this whole thing.
Right. Well, I believe it started with Brian Hart, whom I mentioned, who was a Kids in the Hall writer. He was a writer-producer at Mad TV. And I believe he was lobbying to get Bret there and had met him. So we had him come in and do a sketch. And he did this sketch where he's like, we're this family, and we're bullying our son, and then Bret comes in, he's like his son's friend, and he's like, you're not going to bully anyone anymore. And, it's Bret.
Yeah.
And at the end of the sketch, he leaves, and but Brian goes, go back in there and just mess with Will on the second take. So he does. And then I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. This is the WWF champion at the time. And we're wrestling, and he's up on the couch or something. And then I pick him up on my back, and I start spinning around. Stupid. So look, the next year, it's like, well, let's do a thing where Bret comes back, but then he attacks me with a chair and puts me in a sharpshooter. And the whole thing is like, this guy tried to make an ass of me the year before. And then we're doing like an Jerry Lawler, Andy Kaufman, homage to them. And so I was like we were back then, we were telling everybody it's real. And I was like, I did like a couple interviews with like Entertainment Tonight or whoever it was, Access Hollywood, like, yeah, I'm going to sue him. But then you go and we did the match in Tampa at Monday Nitro. And we go to the bar the night before, and Bret's like, okay, so I'm going to go in first and then like give it like 20 minutes and then you can come in. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, because we're, I'm like, yeah, but does everyone give a shit? I don't give a shit what everyone gives a shit about. Just come in 20.
Wow.
So I was like, all right. My buddies, like a couple of my buddies they flew in. They're like, we got to see this. So they're like, we're going in with Bret. And I was alone just in a corner of the bar in this big nightclub. And people would come up to me and go, hey, you know who's over here? Because they knew, and we did a couple things running up to it. Like I interfered in a match with him and Roddy Piper. And so people were like, oh, maybe there's something going to happen.
Yeah.
Who's in? Bret Hart's in here. I'm like, what? What do you mean? What's he doing in here? And then afterwards I could finally hang out with Bret.
Man. Then fast forward a few years and you're in the ring with Stone Cold.
In the ring with Stone Cold.
That was so cool.
Dude, I still like, I'll see that clip every once in a while on the internet and I'll go like, oh, what? And pardon the pun, what? Like, what is happening?
What?
Yeah. What?
The way you took that stunner that's impressive.
Well.
And a lot of people comment on that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Look, again, perfectly happy to, when are you ever going to do this? I look at it like, this is what I want. This is my thing. I love wrestling and I'm on that. This is Pinch Me. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane that I'm doing this and that we're doing a weird crossover with Mad TV. So he takes me out there, in the afternoon and he's just like, we go over the thing and it's just going to be, it's Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho's calling Stone Cold out. Like, I don't want to wait until No Way Out, get out here. And the music hits and I come out. And then blah, blah, blah. By the end of it, we're toasting a beer and he Stone Cold comes out.
Yeah.
Jericho fucking powders. Then Bang got the gimmick and fucking Goozle, and then we're out. And how long do we eat? It's a fucking 6.5 minutes. Well, fucking Vince is gonna be in Gorilla. Cut that down to fucking 5. Shit. I don't know what the fuck we're even doing fucking shit anymore. Now he's got the fucking NWO coming back. The fuck is that? I mean, what the fuck? Inject a poison into the fucking god.
A lethal dose.
A lethal dose. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
So he does the stunner, and he's like, oh, just boom, and off to the side. Just bang. That's a shotgun blast. That's it. He goes, sell it. All right, please. Like, that's it. Of course. You don't want to, like, you guys don't understand. I will do whatever. I'll lay there until, what is it? The ref gives you the Iggy. I don't know what it is. You squeezy. And I go, I'm okay. I will lay there all day. I'm a performer. I love that this is, and they are performers.
Yeah.
They're actors and then some. They're actors, they're athletes, they are incredible. I mean,
and they've got one take.
And they've got one take. I got into one of these arguments as a wrestling fan not too long ago where people are like,
oh, me too.
It's like, I don't even want to have this conversation. Just Wikipedia the shit, okay? Like, watch like some A&E special on wrestling. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, it's actually more daunting than sports, because in sports, if you get hurt, you lay there and an ambulance drives out onto the field and everyone claps for you. In the WWE, if you get hurt, you fucking keep going.
Yeah.
Only in the most extreme circumstances. Now, we just saw at WrestleMania, Shane McMahon
tore his quad
off of his knee.
Right.
You're going to have to
but
stop
watching that on TV, like, they did such a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting around that. Snoop calls an audible, drops the people's elbow.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. And in the same weekend, you have Prince Devitt, Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Who's,
geez.
He had something torn off him before, like his bicep or something was.
But during that match, his head got split open.
His head gets split open with a gash, like 14
I was
staples.
also so angry watching that. I went to night 1, then I watched night 2 from home.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, this is Hell in a Cell. The whole purpose of this match is to inflict as much damage and pain. Why are EMTs coming into this match?
Right.
I hate this.
Well, it's like.
And then I learned after, I get it, right? But
Yeah.
I'm like, the whole point of this match is they're locked in here.
Well, there's only 2 times when an EMT has been in the Hell in the Cell. The other one was Undertaker and Mankind. So, right? So,
and I think there was one where it was an angle where the cameraman got knocked out.
oh, yeah.
And then like, oh, if the cameraman's out, we've got to unlock the cell to get in there.
Right.
Oh, no, now what's going to happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they stapled his head shut
Yes.
and they keep going. Yeah. And that's the trippy thing. So with Stone Cold saying, just do this and fall over so that no mistakes, no problems, you're not going to hurt yourself. I was like, yeah, gotcha. But I wanted to do the whole flippy backwards thing that The Rock does. So I kind of attempt that in the thing. And I will say that when Stone Cold, so he hits the stunner and it's at the end of the bit, and everyone, Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole are like, oh no, Will Sasso never trust the rattlesnake. Just amazing, right?
Yeah.
And,
so good.
And Stone Cold turns around and to start stomping on me or whatever and pour the beer and finish the segment. And I will say, I remember smiling and laughing. Like, I want to believe that he was tickled, that I was all wrapped up in the ropes, that I tried my best to because here's my thing about any celebrity or even me in wrestling. I hate it. I hate seeing it. It always sucks. And I'm just not going to not do that. When what? We're going to what? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I'm going to do it. But I don't want to see the Arrow from CW punch Dolph Ziggler in the face and stuff. I don't want to see any of that. So it always sucks. And look, when we did the Bret Hart thing, Brian Hart, no relation, and I were talking about, well, what's this match going to be, And, we'll do whatever they want. And then Bret goes, so what do you want to do? You want to get like a cheap shot or kick me in the nuts? And Brian's like, no. What we want to do is you clearly beat the shit out of Will for as long as the match is.
Yeah.
And Bret like smiles like, okay, good. Because you shouldn't, like when I saw like Jay Leno put a headlock on Hulk Hogan in the WCW, I was
It
like,
was not a good headlock either.
and it's like Jay Leno is dressed like he's going for a walk. He's wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and versus whoever, like DDP and Dennis Rodman or whatever, I don't remember exact, Karl Malone or whatever. But it's like, that's stupid. We all hate that as wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So at the very least, kick the shit out of me. At the very least, I need to get my comeuppance. I cannot do one thing in offense, not even one.
Yeah.
Kick the shit out of that guy. You know, literally, unless you're talking about now, Logan Paul. And that's
Bad Bunny and Logan Paul
I don't get
change
it.
the game.
That's unbelievable.
And Triple H says it all the time. He says Logan Paul has no business being that good.
Yeah.
He's 4 matches into his career, not 4 WWE matches, 4 matches.
It's crazy.
Period.
It's crazy.
It's insane how good he is. Like, he doesn't do a lot of the things that a quote unquote green wrestler would do.
Yeah.
He just does it all like he's a pro.
Well, the thing I think that he has that he can marry obviously to his physicality and his athleticism is, you know, he's been on camera in every situation that cameras can present over the past now near 10 years that he's been around. And it's like, so he's not going to go out there and suck. He's going to at least make sure he's got a natural connection with the camera and the audience, and he already knows the way it's going to look just because of how savvy he
Wrestling's
is.
a different animal.
Sure.
And it's so funny how there's little things in wrestling that don't translate to Hollywood or vlogging or whatever it happens to be.
No, totally.
And it's just so interesting. I want to go back to the Stone Cold segment because I think it's so funny when he's asking you, like, you won't do this again. And you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, cross your heart.
Yeah.
Hope to die. Stick 1,000 needles in your little eye.
Yeah.
Was that scripted?
No, he was. And as a matter of fact, that was Friday Night SmackDown. So they also cut some shit out.
Oh, really?
It was hilarious. When we get backstage, like, oh, I hope you're all right with all the improvising. I was like, are you shitting me? That was the best moment of my life. Also with the Bret Hart thing. And it's like, we could do that all day long, dude. He was literally like, he goes, are you going to go home and is your fucking ugly wife and your fat, stupid kids going to be proud of you? Like, it was hilarious, you know, like Bob just going off. And I'm like, you know, there's no way I'm going to crack, but I'm like sitting there doing the bit. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He went on for a while. And then again, we get backstage and he's like, oh, shoot, sorry, I went on to, I'm like, please. It was the craziest day. He's like the first thing it was Michael Hayes was like, you know, the agent on the segment, I guess, or producing the segment.
Yeah.
So he comes out and explains it to me. And then Jericho explains it to me. And then Stone Cold comes in, he explains it to me. And it's like, you know, I want to hear everyone's take on this whole thing. I was so happy that they were all like invested in it. Paul Heyman comes out and he goes, let me tell you something that Rick Rude taught me. He goes,
He can do a Paul Heyman. Of course he can do a Paul Heyman.
I haven't worked on it. Tribal chief, my tribal chief. No, he goes, Rick Rude told me that if you're supposed to be scared, just pretend there's a pencil in your ass and that you're trying to break it. And I was like, and I'm an actor. It's like, I'm going to be, I'll be scared. But when Paul Heyman told me, pretend, because Rick fucking Rude told him, pretend there's a pencil in your ass and try to break it. That's going to be my motivation. It was unbelievable. And then Vince comes in and he's like, when Stone Cold's music hits, you're terrified. You're horrified, you know? And I'm like, this is the man. This is the guy who created took what was and created what we now know.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever you want to say about all of it and sports entertainment or whatever. This is the kid, you know, I mean, I had the wrestling figure and all that. And I'm watching this guy, I'm going, he's still just as invested. And anyone who knows the WWE as a fan knows how incredibly invested he is to this day, even right now with all the talk about creative and rah-rah. It's like, it was amazing to me. Just going like, this guy still gives a shit. Even about this fucking segment it's fine. You got Stone Cold and Chris Jericho. You got this fucking Mark. I can't wait to do whatever you guys want. And he's like, forget it. It was the greatest.
With everything that you've done in your career, have you ever been up for a dramatic role that would completely shift the way that we view you? Like, have you ever been up for like a Scorsese film or something like that?
No, not a Scorsese film, but I've done a bunch of drama.
Of course you have, but like, is there, trying to think of like Robin Williams when he won the Oscar for Good Will Hunting.
Unbelievable.
Right. And everyone went, we knew he was great, but my God, like totally different level.
He was always an incredible actor. He was just happened to be the clown prince of the universe, like one of the funniest people to ever make anyone laugh, God rest his soul. But Good Will Hunting, your move, Chief. Like, it is that scene by the lake.
Yeah.
I ask you about poetry, you'll quote a sonnet. Like that, but you don't know the first thing about life and falling in love with a woman and how she makes you feel and this whole thing.
Yeah, that scene gets me every time.
It's unbelievable. And it's all the more, now it's just all the more gripping because he's no longer with us and the way that he left. But dude, I believe that if Planes, Trains and Automobiles came out now, John Candy's nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, wow.
Or Best Actor. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I guess comedies really didn't get the love and respect from the Academy,
dude,
that they'll get now.
The very next year, after Planes, Trains, and Automobiles came out in 87. In 1988, Fish Called Wanda came out.
Kevin
Kline won Best Supporting Actor for Fish Called Wanda. And as a kid, I was like 13. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to act and stuff. And I was fortunate enough to be getting started around that age. I was like, this is, and not because he won an Academy Award, but because he was respected as an actor in a role where he was also hilarious. I think that guys like someone like John Candy, if he was around today, and it's a little bit sacrilegious even to say it, but I believe he would be doing the best work dramatically that there would be. I mean, what he brings naturally to a role when it comes to the warmth, the loneliness, that watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like as a kid, I loved it because it was funny and those aren't pillows and all that stuff, right? When you realize later, when you watch it later as an adult, and then you continue to watch it, and I watch it every Thanksgiving, and you realize how incredible a role that John Hughes wrote for John Candy. Also the symbiosis there, because he knows Candy as an artist, and Candy knows John Hughes as an artist. It was a great pairing. But he wrote this role where this guy is just like, hey, how's it going? Evening, Gus. Well, it's still $1 million shy of being a millionaire. Hey, I got my traveler's card and blah, blah, blah. He's filling the room with talking.
Yeah.
He's constantly talking.
Yeah.
To where Steve Martin's like, do you ever shut up? You're like a chatty Cathy doll, all that stuff. John Candy is packing the entire film with such loneliness. And when you watch it as an adult and you just realize he's lonely, it's like, that's one of the best performances that I've ever seen. And it's in a comedy. My favorite moment from that movie is when they're in the hotel with the two beds, and it's like a lake retreat or something like this crappy sort of Lake Minnetonka kind of theme, and just cheap as shit. And they're on these two beds and they're getting drunk. They're drinking the little airplane pops and the vodka and rum. Where are you going? Rum, Jamaica, man. Like bad. They're drunk. Not like Fritos. What about this as a combination? And he's like Fritos and tequila. He's like, get these chips off the bed or I'll kick them off. And John Candy goes into the bathroom and they're talking about sitting in the car that was burning and flip me over. I'm done on this side. It's like, well, we'll be laughing about it in the future. I'm laughing now. John Candy goes into the bathroom. Steve Martin says something else to make him laugh, and John Candy's laughing in the bathroom, and he comes out, he cracks the door, and he just goes, and goes back in. He literally has to share the air with this guy. It's funny, but it's lonely. He's so lonely. This is the best night he's had in years. His wife's been dead for 8 years. He doesn't have a friend like that would have the kind of night that he would have with Steve Martin. So anyway,
As
to
a
answer
fellow
your
Canadian,
question,
did you ever get to meet John Candy?
No, I never met Mr. Candy. I'm friends with his kids. But I've never met the man. I say that to say also that in getting to know Chris and Jen, it's like John Candy, my idol, is also sort of become like, well, they're my friend's father. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why I do say, like, because it's rough. It's rough. Listen, no, I had never met him. Anytime I work with anybody who knew him, I do, I want to hear stories and stuff. Yeah. I never push, like I said, my friends for stories. I don't want to, but I'll tell you this, my good buddy Phil that I grew up with, he was, they had Lions seats, CFL, the BC Lions, and their season seats, him and his dad, were right in front of the visiting owners box. So that year that Candy, Gretzky, and Bruce McNall owned the Argonauts for a couple of years, my buddy Phil couldn't wait because he was hoping that John Candy would be in the box behind him. And sure enough, he was. And my pal Phil, who's in his, we both played community football. He's wearing his football jacket. People are going up the whole game. And Phil's right on the aisle. So he has to keep going like this. And everyone's up there getting their autographs. Finally, in the fourth quarter, he goes, all right, I'm going to get my autograph. Yeah. He says he goes up, he turns around. This has been all game. People are talking to him. Goes up, he turns around, he says, John Candy's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, nice jacket. You play football? What position do you play? Oh, cool. Yeah, I love football, blah, blah, blah. This is a great game today, but like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Like, and to hear it from, one of my best pals growing up, and he couldn't wait to tell me, the next day at school. And then to hear the stories that I've heard from the people that have worked with him and to, and the people that, like some that have worked very closely on SCTV and all that stuff. And then there's, there is things that I've heard, the private things about a man, and what a wonderful guy, what a wonderful guy he was. Yeah. Anyway, he's my North Star as far as the business goes. And, I'd like to do more drama, sure.
All of this is to say, I feel like Christopher Nolan should cast you in whatever he does after Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I'll do the, what's that? What was it, Normandy? What was that one called?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. There you go.
Yeah.
Different. Yeah.
If
different.
Harry Styles can be in it, Will Sasso can be in it.
Yeah. All I got to do is, I got to figure things out backwards.
People mistake you for Harry Styles all the time, don't they?
Yeah. The Harry part. Hey, everybody. Hey, everyone. Hello, everyone. I would do, what could I be? What kind of, are there any chunky Batman villains? I don't know. Anything would be good.
Penguin, yeah.
Penguin.
You might be a bit tall for Penguin.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and Colin Farrell did a wonderful job. He did a great job.
If you didn't tell me who the actor was in the Batman, I would have given you 100 guesses and got them all wrong.
Yeah.
And then you would have been like, oh, it's Colin Farrell. I would have been like, what?
Yeah. I would have said that's Bobby Cannavale like 15 times. And they go, no, it's not. I go, yes, it is. You're lying. No, it's Irish as fuck Colin Farrell.
I can't believe with all of these impressions, we haven't heard from Arnold.
Yeah. My Arnold now has just evolved to a
it's just a
bunch
noise,
of
right?
sounds.
That's the best part of that.
Yeah.
It's like in between, like saying a few words.
It's like a white noise thing. You can sleep to it. Here, repeat this if you're having trouble sleeping or you're insomniac. It sounds like the ocean. It sounds like whales.
It's been so much fun hanging out
Cheers,
with you.
man.
And Jesse Ventura and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Macho Man and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And
Didn't get around to that Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Vince and all of them. I end every conversation talking about gratitude because it's such an important part of my life. What are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for as we sit here right now?
I mean, you know, my incredible wife, Molly, my relative health, I'm fine. And my stupid career. I can't believe I'm still I truly can't.
Almost 30 years into this, right?
32, 33 years I've been doing this stupid stuff for a living. Not stupid stuff. I'm just talking about the way I do it. Yeah, I would say that those are the things that I'm grateful for.
How long till you have a
Family,
star on
health,
the
and
Walk of Hollywood Walk of Fame?
as soon as I can pony up $8,000. How much is
I
it?
thought it was 25 grand.
Okay, see,
Nobody
it's gone
knows
up.
this, by the way.
You got to pay for it.
Yes. And they go, so would you like a star? And you say yes. And they go, great. You can make the check out to the city of Hollywood, $25,000
Yeah,
for
it's like-
maintenance.
Right. It's like people walking up to you with a mixtape, like, "Hey, this is my stuff. You want it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to need some money for that. You gave it to me."
What do you think 3 things that Jesse Ventura would be grateful for?
I'm most grateful for my 151st feral dog, Brutus. I'm thankful for I'm thankful for my I have a war bunker underneath my casita in Mexico where I keep nothing but tortillas for my fish tacos. And
For the fish tacos.
and I'm thankful also for Karrion Kross taking on my gimmick and making it anew, because I'm in Hollywood, Hulk Hogan. This is where I'm friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not you.
Will, you're the best.
No, you are.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Cheers.